Christians identified. Who are Christians? There are many kinds of Christians. True, false, good, bad, inspired, faithful within Christianity. What are Christians? Christ is defined as the Anointed One. Many claim to be anointed, both individuals and groups. So they are Christ's, or so claim. Generally, the term Christian is associated with those who in some way follow the Bible and Jesus. Did Jesus name his followers Christians? No. Did Jesus' 12 apostles call Jesus' followers Christians? No. The first mention of the term Christian was at Acts 11:26. So it was that for a whole year they, Paul and Barnabas, assembled with the church and taught a great many people, and the disciples were first called Christians in Antioch. Who is Paul? Paul, or Saul, was present and approving of the murder of Stephen, Acts 7:58-60 and 8:1. Acts 8:3, Paul invading one house after another and dragging out both men and women, he would turn them over to prison. It was Paul's goal to imprison all who belonged to the Way. Later, Paul claims Jesus appeared to him, though he does not actually see Jesus. Paul claims Jesus blinds him, while Jesus' followers know Jesus as someone who heals, not inflicts damage. Paul claims something even more extraordinary. Jesus had made him the 13th apostle, this violent, murderous Pharisee. Paul must not have known this at Matthew 19:28. Jesus said to them, I tell you the truth, at the renewal of all things, when the Son of Man sits on his glorious throne, you who have followed me will also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. When you study Paul's writings, Romans through Hebrews, you will consistently find that he undermines, contradicts, and disrespects Jesus' teaching and example. It is because of Paul's teachings that there are 7 main Christian denominations and tens of thousands of sub-denominations. There have been Christian against Christian for the last 2,000 years. Even Christians of the same denominations have murdered each other in wars. This is because Christians are from the church of Paul. It was Paul who established leaders. What did Jesus call his followers? Matthew 28:19, Go therefore and make disciples. What did the authorities call Jesus' followers? Matthew 28:13, and say, his disciples came in the night and stole him. What did the angels call Jesus' followers? Matthew 28:7, and go quickly and tell his disciples that he was raised up from the dead. Is there any question that Jesus' followers are called Jesus' disciples? John 14:6, Jesus said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. For this reason, Jesus' disciples were known as belonging to the way. Did Jesus establish leaders? Matthew 23:10-11, Neither be called leaders, for your leader is one, the Christ, but the greatest one among you must be your minister. What did Jesus say about churches? But I tell you that something greater than the temple is here, Matthew 12:6. But he was talking about the temple of his body, John 2:21. God is a spirit, and those worshiping him must worship with spirit and truth, John 4:24. Jesus taught that his followers he called his disciples, who had one leader, Jesus. The disciples are all brothers who worship in spirit and truth in the temple of Jesus' body. These are the ones belonging to the way. Christian was a title established by Paul. Paul formed a basis for and many rules for leaders, including traditions which were his own. Anyone who disobeyed Paul's rules and traditions was handed over to Satan. Are you a Christian? Do you have leaders on earth? Do you assemble in temples or churches? Do you follow rules and traditions not taught by Jesus? If so, you are a disciple of Paul, the Antichrist. The secret of Paul's apostasy has been unsealed. The filthy condition of all Christian churches has been exposed. If you claim to be a Christian, if you follow Paul's writings, Romans through Hebrews, be warned now. This secret has been unsealed because Jesus is coming to judge mankind and those who claim to follow him. Abandon the apostate teachings of Paul, study Jesus, find him. Become a new being, a disciple of Jesus. Let Jesus be your leader. Worship only in the temple of his body. John 4:14. Whoever drinks from the water that I will give him will never get thirsty at all. But the water that I will give him will become in him a fountain of water, bubbling up to impart everlasting life.